Good. All right. Hi, everyone. We're going to stay on the topic of what to do with all our content because I know we have a lot. My name's Aleese Eckenrode. I'm the Senior Director of Professional Development. I'm going to stand behind here because I'm really short and John is very tall. And it looks a little weird when we stand together. I've been with NAHQ for about 6 years, and I work on everything education professional development.
And I'm John. Wait for it. There it is. Hi, I'm John. I'm with Apti. Apti is a custom learning solutions provider that specializes in transforming traditional e-learning into learning experiences that help you and your members sort of transcend what they might normally be capable of encountering in an online learning solution. So it's what we call a learning experience. Some of you heard the term before, just used colloquially. But what we do is help organizations like NAHQ level up those offerings into stuff that is particularly useful, behavior changing, results oriented, et cetera, et cetera. We'll get into some of the specifics around that in a moment. And hopefully you'll leave today with some simple tips and tricks that help you level up the learning that you offer to your members. Quick question, by show of hands, how many of you are with associations that offer some form of professional development to your members? But I'm assuming just about every hand should go up. So pay attention. We're going to have some good takeaway value for you, I hope. But the room is quiet, Aleese.
I'm ready.
Dawn Conroy was right when she referenced the post-lunch slump. So what you never want to be is the second presentation after lunch, because right now you're all downshifting. The blood that's supposed to be here is right here, digesting those delicious fajitas. So I have a quick idea of how to get that blood circulating again, okay? And I'll allow you to sit right where you're at, but here's what I want you to do. Raise your hands high above your head. Stretch them in this direction, and then in that direction. And then this direction again, and then forward, and then up, and then forward. Do that 5 more times, Aleese. Aleese Eckenrode, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. That's so special. Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody. All right, who's working the slides? Are you? Do I need to?
Oh, yeah, where's the clicker? You got a clicker?
Here we go.
I'll take the clicker.
Thank you. John did a lovely job with these slides. I'm not the creative in this pairing. That is definitely John, but I want to do a good setup of why we sought out Apti as a solution. And it all started with our content framework. And actually, it's one of the reasons I even joined NAHQ. They have a really robust competency framework for their professionals. We're talking 8 domains, 30-some competencies. That's what people see. Underneath all of it are about 500 skill statements that describe the work. And the minute I saw them when I was evaluating NAHQ as a future employer, I said, I want to build training on all of these. These all read like learning objectives to me. So that has been something we've been working on from the start. We're going to go through the situation really quickly, talk about our solution of micro-credentials, and talk a little bit about the results. So similar to many of you, we had some of the same problems that associations deal with. We need to educate. We needed to grow our membership and our constituency. We wanted to create opportunities for strategic partnerships. We wanted to do more with less and increase and diversify our revenue opportunities. At the same time, our professionals absolutely were begging us for more information, for more content, for more everything. They wanted a very easy way to learn. They wanted to learn on their own schedule. Things are happening. Cool. I hope everyone's following. And they wanted to earn something to show off their skill set, right? They needed some sort of recognition for that. So our solution to this was to try to marry those needs and wants with each other to come up with a really great educational solution that was both practical and worked with them and on their schedules. Let's go to the next slide.
Would love to. Been trying to click for the past 5 minutes.
Where's RC? I don't.
3 more to go.
Sorry,
3
Kevin.
more to go.
Kevin, get over here.
Okay.
Vicky.
All right, I'll just point.
It's my favorite slide because you'll see our competency framework. It's gorgeous and beautiful. Those are the 8 domains that I was just talking about. And this is what we're doing. So when my manager and I started talking about micro-credentials, she's sitting over there, she can help me. We talked about micro-credentials and I did a lot of research, and guess what? There is no one definition of what a micro-credential is. And we already had a credential, right? So we had to be very careful about where we were going to position this, what this was going to be, how NAHQ was going to define a micro-credential for ourselves. And the first step to doing that was a lot of data analysis. Looking at obviously our member surveys, but also looking at our product evaluations, looking at talking with people, talking with our members, talking with our volunteers, our board, our leadership about what they were looking for when they thought about learning. The second step I think is the most important because this is the one I use to this day. We created a vision document that said, this is what this is, and this is what this isn't. And these are the guiding principles that we are going to use. That kind of document is what you can use to sell the idea because there was not a lot of great definition and contour over what a micro-credential is. After that, it became a little bit easier to create our roadmap, and we included both long-term and short-term planning. You see 8 pie pieces in that wheel. We wanted a micro-credential for each one. That's a really long-term planning effort, but we also had to plan for just one and get one off the ground. So that was a very important step for us. And then finally, we knew we couldn't do it alone. NAHQ has a fairly small staff, small but mighty, we like to say, and we definitely try to punch above our weight, but we also utilize partnership to help expand our skill set, to get creative, innovative solutions from our partners. And that's where John at Apti came in. And I'll pass it off to him to talk about how he helped us really define what a NAHQ micro-credential could even look like.
Thank you, Aleese. Quick test, tech check. It worked. So the solution we came up with for NAHQ is what I would call scenario-based, expert-supported mobile-first learning. Let's unpack what that means, though. What you see on the left here, by the way, are just some screenshots of NAHQ's micro-credential around performance and process improvement. So the core components of this solution included fully responsive design, meaning today's learners don't always learn sitting in front of their desk. We're busy professionals, we're on the go. So we need to be able to learn whenever and wherever we are across a variety of device types. So yes, you can still take it on a laptop or a desktop, but you can also take it on a tablet or on your phone on the L train in downtown Chicago. So fully responsive was kind of a mandate from the get-go. The second thing is a heavy reliance on immersive storytelling. And that's particularly important to engage an audience. So it's not enough anymore to just transmit information, to package it up and serve it up. You have to engage learners in a way that's meaningful to them so that they're incentivized to A, remember, and B, take that learning away and do something with it. So you'll see in the upper, I guess I point this way, since I'm on this side of the podium, in the upper left there, you can't read it, but it says a quality concern at Outer Valley Hospital. So module by module, we've created these immersive and engaging scenarios and vignettes that represent a context in which the learning happens. And you'll hear me say this probably more than once in this presentation, context is king, not content. So what we're doing is taking whatever the learning is and putting it in a real world scenario. Secondly, we've included, tertiarily, don't ask me to say tertiarily, quadrangly, whatever. We've included a virtual mentor. So the learners are never alone in the process. In fact, you'll see Andy Prescott. He's the quality person, the quality rep at Outer Valley Hospital, our fictitious location scenario. And from time to time, you get to interact with him, choose from actions or questions that you want to ask, and Andy will respond. Andy is there to kind of provide instructions and setup for various practice activities and scenarios we have you work through and so forth. We've also included, beyond Andy, a full recurring cast of characters. So you see them here. If you were to scroll through, you'd see a bunch of them. Outer Valley Hospital, if you're a quality control professional, odds are you're interacting with all sorts of people, from admin professionals to physicians to nurses to who knows whom. You're going to meet them through this and interact with them as you work your way through these scenarios. This one's a really important one. You see it kind of represented here, middle right. Best practice videos featuring real experts. So not only did we consult subject matter experts to help create the content to make sure it was as useful, practicable, and authentic as possible, but we also put them on camera sharing tips and tricks directly with the learner. So we didn't sort of hide them behind the curtain, as it were. Instead, we put them front and center because there's sort of no bones about it. All of you would probably rather learn from the best in the business than some faceless instructional designer working in a lab somewhere brewing up this stuff, right? Oh, sorry. Yes, Mike.
You'd be bad at this.
And I don't need one of these, but I get it. Sorry, online people. Okay. We also included lots of downloadable tools and resources. Professionals want that takeaway value, things they can apply back in the real world, back on the job. But we went one step further. Tons of opportunities to practice, not just practice new ways of thinking and being, but practice using those very same downloadable tools and resources in a realistic context, as you see here represented by Outer Valley Hospital. So there's lots of doing. There's a ton of time spent doing in this learning instead of reading. And that brings us to kind of, yes, I'm sorry, let me back up. You have a question?
Quick question. So
yes.
Do I understand correctly that the scenarios are made up within context, but you used member experts to do the best practices?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so if you didn't hear the question online, the scenarios are made up, yes, but we used real member experts to share the tips and best practices. The answer is yes and yes. So it's made up, but made up to be as realistic as possible. And I'll hit that point again in a moment. So what I want to do right now is just share kind of 6 ways of thinking and believing that really inform a lot of our particular approach to design around learning solutions. The first one is that emotional engagement is everything. We firmly believe that learning starts with hearts, not smarts. Because, and I'll prove it to you right now. So Aleese gave a really compelling opening keynote this morning. Yell out right now the most memorable thing from that presentation. What's that? Okay, you've been here, and I'm not talking about the content, just whatever you remember most, having walked away from that presentation. I knew that was wrong.
The sound video of storms.
Okay, sound video of storms. What else?
Sailboat.
Sailboat.
Gasoline.
Gasoline. Picture of the family. Heart attack at 35 years old, the birth of her twins, right? She shared some really important points, but what you're associating to those points are those visceral cues, right? Emotion is essential at the beginning of learning and at the end of learning. It helps grab attention and hold attention, gives you a reason to pay attention. Something is compelling there that's holding me in, but it also helps you remember and in some ways incentivizes you to apply. Maybe I don't want to have a heart attack. Maybe I need to change my habits. Maybe I need to think about how stress is impacting me, right? And that's just one use case. So we try to find ways to bring emotion into the designs of our learning to ensure that learners have all of that, right? Their attention is held, they're more likely to remember stuff, and they're more likely to apply stuff back on the job because they see the value, they see the why in it. right? The next thing is change behaviors, get results. So in learning, we typically measure the success of a learning solution based on, did they like it? Did knowledge transfer? Did they pass the test? But where the rubber really starts to meet the road is, are people doing something different back on the job than they were before the learning took place? And how is that translating into business results or return on that investment, right? The pivot point is behavior change. And how do you get people to change behaviors? It's not because you shared information with them. Here, show of hands real quick. How many of you, like me, have at least one bad habit? At least one. I got several. Lots of hands up if I had more than two. Yeah. Now, how many of you, well, I suppose there's an implied answer to this question, but how many of you know that habit is bad for you? I mean, we call it a bad habit, so you know it's bad for you, right? How many of you have been told before it's a bad habit? And you have all the facts and figures that say it's a bad habit, whether you don't exercise enough, you smoke or drink too much, you bite your nails, whatever. If I give you one more fact, will that do the trick? Will you finally drop that bad habit? Probably not. Links back to emotion. There is only some powerful felt state that will drive you to change. So everything we design, we're always chasing that sort of mysterious, elusive thing. How do we get people motivated to change behaviors? So it forces us to think more creatively. Another tip here that could map against that context is king message is realism accelerates transfer. So we could come up with all kinds of fun learning games, make sure you have all these abstract puzzles to solve and so forth. But if I want you to apply something back on the job, the more realistic I can make it, the more believable I can make it, the quicker I'm going to get you to that destination. Give them access to experts. We've already talked about that. Doing beats knowing. So as you think about your professional development offerings, think beyond sharing more information. Think about creating experiences that allow people to practice and apply the information that you expect them to do back on the job. And in that point, just in furtherance of that point, I'll give you my little formula here. P plus F leads to M. Practice plus feedback is the only path to mastery. Whether you're a carpenter, a violin player, you name it, an Olympic swimmer. It's not even just practice. It's practice plus feedback. Feedback that's supportive, feedback that guides you, encourages you, helps you fine-tune those approaches. And how do you work that into your learning solutions? How do you make your feedback more effective while practicing and so forth? That's how you're going to get your members and your industry professionals to that next level that we're all trying to get them to. So, Aleese, back to you.
Thank you. Results have been positive, as you can tell. A lot of passion has been poured into this program, along with some amazing content. And when you marry those two up, I don't think you can go wrong. We launched our first One Health data analytics in last year, late last year, Q4. So we still do not have it on the market for that full 2-year cycle that I like to see. But we are tracking very well to meet ROI on that within or before 2 years. Especially in a challenging economic environment. We've been really pleased with the results. In terms of participation, it's been great. We've had about 500 so far, and 65 have completed the full program and gotten their badge and shared it. The rest of those people are still in progress. People have a subscription to this product, so they have a period of time with which to spend on it. We use a net promoter score to try to weigh our different programs and compare apples to apples across the board. Our net promoter score for this is extremely high. So we have a 90% of our participants are scoring 7 or higher on a 0 to 10 scale. And we're just getting rave reviews. I did some analysis on some of our qualitative feedback, and people love the design, very easy to use, very engaging, relevant, useful for both new and experienced professionals, which was key. And I think I've heard a lot from some users about the practical guidance they're getting. Like, hey, I got this tool and I was able to do it like the next day. And that is the kind of stuff you want to hear from your learning product for sure. Finding Apti was a boon. I'm a bit more logical and content-based, whereas you can see John comes in with a whole lot of heart and passion. And I would tell you that the Apti team really lit my fire in terms of finding creativity and joy again with learning. Sometimes when you're in this business for too long, you kind of get ground down. And these programs have really brought me back to life professionally as well. We are 100% committed to a collaborative and also continuous improvement style relationship. I can come to Apti and say, hey, my sneeze are not good on camera. What can I do? We need to get them in front of the camera. We need to get them ready. And the team has really helped get not just me in the right place for this and the right mindset for this, but also prepare our SMEs who are not used to being in front of a camera. So we launched health data analytics in Q4 2024. We launched performance and process improvement in 25 Q2. We're right in the middle of regulatory and accreditation right now. We are hoping to launch that either late this year or early next year. And then right away, we're going to start on our patient safety. So we are going right through the list, right through the wheel, and we're just getting fabulous results from it.
So, do you have any questions? And if so, what are your questions? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for you and actually a question for ASSP as well.
Sure.
I'm not asking how much, but did you seek external funding for this?
No, this was all a capital investment.
And a capital investment that you had projected when you did the budget from the year before?
It was all planned out. I mean, when I talk about the vision document, I'd say maybe a year or two in the making of planning. So we were well aware of what the cost and the resource consumption would be. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you have a full credential program that you morphed into a micro?
Great question.
And then did you keep both options?
Oh, repeat the question. So you're asking if we had like an established certification. We do.
Then changed into the micro, or can they choose either or?
Either or both. Okay, so the question is, do we have a certification in place, and what is the relationship of these micro credentials to our credential? That was actually a huge part of our vision document because we really didn't want to alienate our biggest product, which is our CPHQ certification. And that was the only experience a lot of our people had with us. We don't have a large educational portfolio. So there was concern about how this would be received. Would they think a micro-credential is instead of a CPHQ? We did not want that to happen. So the way we structured them is I actually went to the Institute for Credentialing Excellence, unfortunately named ICE. They actually provide a ton of great resources, and they had a whole new toolkit around micro-credentials. And the way they lay it out is, our high stakes exam certification is on this side. It is really not paired with any education. There's no requirements. You just got to pass the high stakes exam to get your credential. We did not want to set micro credentials up in that same vein. So we want the focus on the micro credentials to be on the education. That was the critical piece. So those programs are built with an assessment, but it's a very low stakes assessment. It's not proctored. It's run out of our learning management system. They can take it open book multiple times as much as they need. It really is more of a check on the learning because the learning is the key to this program. And they get a badge. It's going to look a little bit different than their CPHQ, but we have tried our best to make sure the experience is different between the two. That helps.
Yeah, folks, we anticipate that you probably have several more questions about either what we're doing or how we're doing what we're doing, but we're about to get gong showed. So here's what I will say. Aleese and I will make ourselves available on the next break at the end of the day. If you want to come meet us, Apti has a little table over there. I was going to say it was next to the toaster, but then that moved. Then I was going to say it's next to the beverage station, and then that moved. So it's just exactly where I'm pointing. If you remember where my finger is pointing, you can find us over there. We'll also be joined by my colleague, Calvin Choi. Happy to answer any questions that you have. Thanks so much for having us.